I wanted to thank everyone for joining. It really is a pleasure to be here to share about WASH and really our experience. My objective from this meeting and this presentation is to give everyone here some insights from the last 15 years of implementing WASH projects in the field, and as well as how I've applied those insights into what I'm doing now at Kinvest Impact Foundation. And so before we get into the weeds, I want to do a little activity, a bit more interactive, to kind of see, and since this is a WASH presentation, I want everyone to imagine that they're holding a cup of water. So everybody hold a cup of water. It's clean, not muddy, not that gross water, right? Look at this cup of water, and I want you to say, is it half full or is it half empty? So have a think about it. And so we're going to do a quick survey in the chat. I need you to kind of say half full or half empty. And I'm going to ask for some people to kind of tally the results quickly. But go ahead. Is your cup half full, half empty? I'll give you guys 10 seconds to vote, and we're going to go ahead on the chat. So just write half full, half empty. So it's good to see, oh, fully full. That's good. We got the real optimists in the group. Now, traditionally, so if I look quickly, I like this. These are some good responses. So anyways, before I go too far into the presentation, I also want to say, don't hesitate to interrupt me, write any questions here. I'm not too precious about the flow of the presentation. My goal is really that people find it useful. And so don't hesitate to answer anything. So as I look at this, I can see that we have some optimists in the group. Typically, this image of a half full glass or half empty glass makes us think of this optimism question. Am I an optimist or am I a pessimist? Am I a realist? And I kind of wanted to say that for me, rather than split it down the middle, I like to say it's potentially a perspective question. And really, in the first 10 years of my WASH career, I would go through different journeys of half full or half empty. But I would say in 2020, there really was a shift in perspective. And it's that change in perspective that really led me and a group of like-minded individuals in early 2020 to co-found Kinvest Impact Foundation. Now, I was first introduced to the problem in January 2010 when I led a small team of humanitarians to Haiti after the Haiti earthquake. Anyone who might have been there would have known that after a large humanitarian crisis, we had such a huge need for water, for everything. I was specifically working on translating for medical teams into Creole and French, and then I also was working on shelter projects. But the problem was immense. But at that time, I was green and I was passionate and I wanted to change the world. And I was very lucky to have a mentor. My first boss had been in Haiti for 15 years. And as he taught me and I got to learn, there's one specific anecdote which I think highlights the case of this problem, right? Shortly after the Haiti earthquake, there was also a major earthquake in Japan, right? Even bigger than the Haiti earthquake. Yet we saw that actually those living in extreme poverty experience crises in a much different way. Right? And really, your economic position has a huge impact on how you will survive and thrive following a crisis. Right? And what's sad is that the need continues to be there, but the problem seems to not be resolved. Now, there's one quick anecdote that I have. Now, my boss, Sam, we were driving through to a village one day, and he pointed to the away and said, 10 cents a pound. So I didn't say anything about it. He kept on driving and muttered to himself and pointed, 10 cents a pound. And so I asked him, what does that mean? And he pointed, you see that derelict broken building over there? I said, yeah. See, that is a gravity-fed system that a European NGO came and built for these communities at the last humanitarian crisis, so 10 years ago, when Haiti had another crisis. And he said, this European NGO had brought water and the community was very excited. They had put into place a committee to manage the water. They had put trained local technicians. But there's a fatal flaw. The European NGO, to facilitate the speed of the project, had bulk ordered everything from a European supplier in European dimensions and threading. So the engineers here would be like, And yet all the locally available spare parts were American imperial threads and dimensions. And so this small committee quickly found that they took their money, went to the hardware store, bought the materials just to come that the two did not connect. So they took a little bit more money, went to Port-au-Prince to try one last time to fix this system, but they couldn't find the spare part. And this $250,000 gravity-fed system slowly fell into disrepair. And when it fell into disrepair, it fell into irrelevance. And when it fell that, the community started to dismantle the system and sell the parts in the scrap metal market of Port-au-Prince for 10 cents a pound. And so a $250,000 of value in life-saving water, in the end, resulted in 10 cents a pound of scrap metal. And that was a really marking story for me. And so I in my career, whether it was from Haiti, and I went on to Chad and the Central African Republic and the Congo, water remained a huge need. And I was always finding myself in rural communities, and this divide was getting bigger. Economic divide was getting bigger. The technological divides were getting bigger, right? And as much as I'm an optimist and I see the glasses half full, I was seeing a growing problem, right? In the next 25 years, we're going to have over 1 billion people living in rural Africa. And these people, unless nothing changes, will be trapped in cycles of extreme poverty. And the saddest part is that children now will inherit this economic burden of their parents. And unfortunately, if nothing happens, the children will inherit and the cycles of extreme poverty will continue to go. So I don't want to paint too bad of a picture. Everybody's been in the wash or in the development industry historically already. But we find ourselves at an inflection point. We see a growing number of crises, whether it's humanitarian crises led by war and political upheaval, or whether it's led by natural disasters and earthquakes and typhoons and hurricanes. We're seeing a story of escalating humanitarian crises. And I'm sure many of you, if you look around your current situation, there's a bit of fear growing, right? There's a lot of instability. And for those who have been in this industry for a long time and remember the MDGs, and now we're on the SDGs, there are countless number of people trying to tackle this problem. But in this inflection point, do we have the resources to turn this from a story of humanitarian crisis into one of opportunity and hope? Now, over the 15 years of living in these countries, I would say I found the secret. It's a silver bullet, in fact. There is a silver bullet. It's actually found in the people living in these communities. That the secret bullet, or the secret that we have found at Kinvest was that in every single rural community that I had been in, whether it was in Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, I was privileged to meet courageous, inspiring people who are working tirelessly day in, day out. Some of us call them subsistence farmers or small merchants. But these people are working so hard to keep their families alive, to improve the well-being of their lives, but also of those of the village around it. And in these people, we found a source of potential and energy that is limitless. Solar panels will eventually dwindle. Water wells will eventually dry. But if you can help unlock the potential of these local catalytic leaders, you can really start seeing the inflection point going from continued humanitarian crisis to one of hope. And so I wanted to introduce Kinvest Impact in this space. In early 2020, before the pandemic arrived, a team of us got together in Rwanda, and to see that we needed to have a dedicated effort in supporting rural communities. Otherwise, the next decade will see this divide get worse and worse. And so we saw that these people were present everywhere, but not every one of these people were connected to opportunities. Not every one of these people had been given a chance. In fact, most of these people had grown in cycles that have not enabled them to have that opportunity or that chance. So Kinvest saw great people in communities, and we wanted to provide the resources that would help these people realize their potential. So let me introduce you to Kinvest. Kinvest Impact realized that in order for us to start moving, we were a startup, we were a new company, a new social enterprise, a charity, call us what you want. Our goal was to help people living in extreme poverty live better, more fulfilling lives. To do that, we needed to identify a catalyst. Status quo was not going to get us there. And a catalyst was important. Now, we had found catalyst in people, but there was also a unique opportunity in terms of the infrastructure to help do an order of magnitude change in these communities. And we found that in solar energy. Right. So in 2020, we designed and leveraged a clean, reliable energy platform in solar. And since then, we have built 10 solar power stations in eastern Rwanda, each one of them uniquely designed to unlock potential in that community. So solar is what amplifies the impact we are achieving. It is our catalyst. And over the last 4 years, in the terms of water alone, we have seen water bring 5 times more water, solar bring 5 times more water to people than was available in a small hand pump. It also brought water 10 times faster to people by reducing the distance to the boreholes. We build these solar power stations in a central market space area and build these market hubs where entrepreneurs locally come and work and do their businesses from these solar powered sites. And our entrepreneurs working for us since started have doubled their income. So that would be amazing for us. But if you live on under $2 a day, that going from $2 to $4 a day is transformational. And we've also seen a huge amount of efficiencies with solar, where a lot of these small subsistence farmers no longer need to lose their dairy, their milk day to day, or a lot of their crops. By using the solar power on our sites, they're able to keep their milk chilled. They're able to process their maize in a magnitude reduction in their harvests. Now, these people are motivated and they're ready. And so at the very beginning, we developed our own business leader development program. So in these marketplaces, we have built a training room. Each training room is there to gather, nurture, and accelerate rural business people, rural farmers. Since 2020, we have been able to train over 1,000 training leaders on our sites. And the bulk of these have gone on to join savings groups. And I guess what's most important is that these graduates have also been able to acquire new assets and to become more financially well off in that sense. What are they doing with that money? It goes into school fees. It goes into health bills. It goes into buying more equipment to grow their own businesses or their farms. And finally, in 2022, the last innovation that we built on our solar platform was commercial transportation. In early 2022, I visited a site, and one of the leaders who had trained in our program was excited to say he had saved money and opened a bank account in the neighboring village. But he had saved $10, but it cost him $5 in a moto taxi fees to get there and back, right? A 30-cent wash part can cost $10 to go by, right? And so transportation is a systemic barrier blocking these rural communities, these from really performing and from working well. And so we were able to convert existing vehicles in Rwanda into electric. That has enabled us to now provide transportation services to rural communities 4 times faster and 3 times cheaper than what was originally available. So the whole story is how Kinvest used a foundational platform of clean energy to amplify these 4 core services. And these 4 core services together are having a transformational impact in these communities. So let me double click on water for a second. Now, a number of us have been involved in helping people access safe water. And I would say over the last 15 years, I've seen innovations in terms of technology. There's some great engineers who are making better pumps, better systems. There's also been some great work done in trying to support local entrepreneurs and local committees to be able to fix things. There is a lot that has gone into helping accessible clean water be a reality to people living in extreme poverty. But where Kinvest, I guess, felt we could change the narrative or where we could bring value was understanding the business of water. So The first borehole I ever built 15 years ago had could provide water to about 100 people. It took a solid minute to 2 minutes to fill a 20-liter jerry can. You guys have all seen it. Most of our beautiful water systems are pumped by 9-year-olds, right? Going to get water. And there's only so much water a 9-year-old can pump, right? And so although systems are being designed technically sound, and although we are finding ways of lowering the cost of bringing water access to beneficiaries. In many cases, we're leaving these committees with an economic bankrupt product. So from day one, these communities are unable and will never be able to, in a commercial viable way, maintain and operate the system for a decade because there's only so much water a 9-year-old can pump. So we saw that more water to more people drives consumption levels at a volume that ensures economic viability. And so we said we will design this system, yes, on the needs of the community, but that from the ground up, it will be economically viable. So that when we hand these systems to communities and local operators, we're not handing over a bankrupt system, but one that can employ and maintain and operate itself for the next decade. Solar was also a catalyst to bring more water closer to people. So our 6 water systems provide water to 20 villages, on average piped around 2 to 3 kilometers. And so we tackled the water thing, but solar water systems aren't new in the industry. I know people have been doing them for quite some time. I guess where Kinvest saw the opportunity was a shared solar system can power various lines of businesses, right? Which reduces the cost and overheads of that solar, right? But not only that, but when a small rural committee, a small operators have multiple revenue streams coming in, not just water, right? It brings in that diverse revenue that makes rural enterprises sustainable and not so susceptible to the seasonal fluctuations. And so we really took a deep insights and deep we tackled the business of water to try to say, how can we make this much more sustainable? And that leads us to the broader Kinvest ecosystem. And I would say this is where we landed. Over the last 5 years, we started off as a R&D innovation kind of group that led into a nonprofit in Rwanda that is trying to build long-term transformative services in partnership with local amazing leaders that will create village life in abundance. And it's been an amazing journey up to now. As you've seen, we've been able to serve a lot of people, and we're excited for what the future kind of enables us. But I guess I want to maybe finish it with this idea that I'll finish it there. We think that ultimately what made Kinvest unique in the wash space, beyond the innovation, the solar, and working with people, was understanding that looking beyond the immediate problem help us to see that the need can become an opportunity, helping us to look beyond the immediate needs. Many of us have done needs assessments with direct beneficiaries, and they've said, I want to do I want to do more. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So a lot of them have been able to solve immediate water issues, but by looking beyond the need of water alone and envisioning an entire village that is healthy, that is vibrant, that has a better future for children, it has helped us to build a model that is sustainable from the ground up. It has helped us build one that is economically viable, that achieves impact, and that unlocks the potential of the people already there. So, and this is some of the pictures of what it looks like in reality. I know I've been just talking up to now, but at each point, it's the combination of innovations in technology with unlocked amazing local leaders. We've been able to achieve some really wonderful things in the last 4 years, and we're excited for the future. Each one of these innovations has been refined over the last 4 years. And we're now in a position to go from 10 power stations to 50 power stations. So that's my little shameless plug, where I'm trying to see who we can partner in these areas, both in East Africa, Rwanda, but also in Canada, to see how we can bring in better technology, the right funding to help achieve even more impact. And I'm going to finish with a very short video that tries to summarize what I've said up to now in about 45 seconds. And so here's my last slide, and I want to spend a bit of time here to center on this last theme of creating lasting change. So that's what Kinvest is trying to do. From the ground up, we want to create lasting change. There's enough money and a lot of good initiatives that are just not achieving the impact we want, but worst, cannot sustain themselves long term. But I know that this is not unique to Kinvest. I would almost be 100% certain to say that everyone on this call also aspires to create lasting change wherever you're working with, whether it's in the wash industry in Canada or whether it's the wash industry in the field. And wash is more than water, and I get it. So the last two questions I wanted to ask you and hopefully generate a little bit of a conversation is, so if solar can be a shared platform that powers lines of businesses, what other impacts can we drive through excess solar capacity? And so we have seen solar as the catalyst, and we believe that it can be a catalyst. I'd love to hear from other people in the wash industry. How have you seen solar energy be a catalyst for other areas in wash? And the second question is, what wash related objectives are stuck at a bottleneck that a catalyst is needed to unlock? Right. And so those are the two questions. So I'll say them again. What other impacts can we drive through solar energy in the wash space? And the second question is, what wash related objectives are at a bottleneck and require a new catalyst to unlock? So thank you very much for listening. And I guess we just want to spend a bit of time with those questions, and then I'll hand it over to the wonderful people at Wash Canada for an ongoing Q&A. Last little plug, if you use this QR code or go on our website, Kinvest Impact, follow us on our socials. We are very, very active on LinkedIn. We are very active on YouTube and Instagram. We love telling stories from the field. We love talking about our successes and our mistakes and our learning. So we have a very, very active social platform. Please go on there and you can find out a lot more about us that way. And the last thing is, please share the word. We are a new social enterprise. We don't have the privilege of being a multi-decade institution that has been here for a long time. And so getting the word out about who we are is really, really important.